Presented from the Aishin Broadcast Studio at Babcock's Media.
Hello and welcome once again to Counterculture, presented by Counterman Magazine. Well, earlier this year, ZF Aftermarket appointed Chris Battershell as its new vice president for the North American region. And now, more than 7 months later, Chris has been kind enough to join us to share his perspective. Chris, welcome to Counterculture.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for having me. Glad to be here at ZF, and of course, then glad to be here talking about the aftermarket with you.
Well, let's start right there with the aftermarket and your role and background in the North American aftermarket.
Yeah, so you hit on the roll here. So I'm tasked with helping ZF expand their aftermarket presence here in the North America region, right? So from Canada down through the Central Americas. That's the scope of the region. So I've only been with ZF for, let's say, about 8 months now. It went fast, but I've been in the aftermarket my whole career. It'll be almost a quarter decade here next year in the aftermarket. Much of the time with Federal-Mogul, Tenneco, Mala, most recently before joining ZF. So, you know, I've been in the aftermarket, like I said, my whole career. It's home for me. I had a brief stint outside, and I realized quickly how much I missed the aftermarket, how much I loved it, and jumped back in. So.
All that time in the aftermarket, and I'm sure you've learned, because we say this all the time, the aftermarket's always changing. So where does ZF fit into the big picture?
Yeah, well, there are a couple things. Let me like set the table here a little bit, right? Break it up into two. So kind of current state and then from a global picture, right? You know, ZF, we're a long-term OE and aftermarket player, right? So very stable company. Obviously, there's a challenging time through the global automotive space right now, but a stable company celebrating our 110th anniversary this year. So big milestone. And from the aftermarket perspective, we have a brand called Sachs, which was headquartered in Schweinfurt, Germany. It's where our aftermarket headquarters is today and distribution is today for Europe. And that's celebrating 130 years. So we've been around, right? And kind of that longevity, I'd say, speaks for the kind of the enduring quality and value that we bring to our customers on a global scale, right? What draws that to me is that what excites me about this is that this is means that we're going to be an aftermarket player here for the long term. We're not just in it for the short term. I think globally we're number 2 in passenger car, and in the commercial vehicle segment we're number 1 globally, right? With our comprehensive portfolios. We've got a strong portfolio of brands, with the ZF being kind of the legacy powertrain brand that we have, but TRW, Sachs, Lemforder, Wabco. So a pretty strong portfolio to take to market, right? And that to me kind of sets up the whole journey of where we're going. We've got some pretty ambitious growth plans, I'd say globally, but particularly here in the region, right? And really, my first kind of like 8 months here has been kind of set to fix on some of the basics, work on some of the basics here. One, you know, just kind of integrate with the team, both regionally and globally, to understand, you know, what our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities are there. Get in front of customers, talk to customers, listen to, you know, what's driving them, what opportunities that we have to better support them, and then how do we support their growth, right? Our customers, if they grow, we grow with them, so it's about enabling their growth. And really one of the things, you know, we've been really focused on is, like I said, fixing the basics, right? Getting back to, you know, being a service provider that our customers want to deal with, right? Making sure that we have a high level of availability for them, right? We've been focusing on our supply chain efforts fairly significantly over the last year, I'd say. It started even before I got here, continues to this day, because our goal is to be the premier supplier in the marketplace and the products that we supply, and then really start to build on the strengths of our brands. I mentioned them, I ran through them. A lot of those are mean different things in different regions, but here in North America, you know, the brands are very well recognized. They have a core group of customers, but I do think our customers are looking for more. What's next? What's coming? They know ZF as a technology company, right? How are we going to bring and connect those technologies and those products into the aftermarket, you know, for the years to come? I think the other kind of thing to call out here, Jeff, too, about ZF is while we do supply, a lot of new parts, OE parts to marketplace, we also have a significant remanufacturing footprint, right? From our kind of legacy ZF transmission business to other categories that we're growing in. But we do believe that remanufacturing is an opportunity for us to bring, some value products to marketplace. They're not just refurbished; they're like new. We include a warranty with them and everything. So we want to continue to expand on that. And then I think the last, let's say, bridge for us is our digital journey, right? And really kind of building that, connected ecosystem of products and services to support our customers. That's the journey that we're taking.
Let's talk a little bit more about that full ecosystem partner concept.
Yeah.
Because most suppliers, it's, they focus on the parts certainly, but I think ZF makes an emphasis on being a full ecosystem partner. Can you help us understand what that means?
Yeah, when we talk about our legacy, right? So ZF, globally, we're a technology leader in mobility, just to kind of keep it simple, right? We have specialization in certain powertrains. We're working on electrification and improving that. We've got automated driving and safety systems, right? So, the technologies at the OEM level, we're there supporting, right? So, and as that technology works its way into the aftermarket, right? It's going to be a different, let's say, relationship between, the manufacturer and the distributors and the fleets in the workshop to ensure that the technical know-how for those types of products, those products that, are on software-defined vehicles now, are technicians, our customers, have the ability, one, to have access to the parts, and then two, to the information and the support and the training and the technical support behind the scenes to make sure that they can install those parts, get customers' cars back on the road. So that's really what we're talking about. Our theme here that we say in the aftermarket is maximizing mobility uptime, right? And so this means, providing training, tools, resources, support out to our customers so that, it's not just a transactional parts relationship, it's really building upon providing our customers everything that they need, right, to service those vehicles the way that they need to be serviced in the future. So that's what we kind of like when we talk about ZF's ecosystem. That's what we're talking about, right? It's about the parts, it's about the services, everything that the customers, the workshops, fleets need in order to service those vehicles.
Part of that ecosystem, you mentioned the technicians, and we talk about technician shortages frequently in the aftermarket in this industry. It's one of the biggest challenges the industry faces, and I know a lot of suppliers have different approaches to what should be done about it. What's the approach that ZF is taking?
Yeah, it's probably, when you think of the kind of the headwinds that face the aftermarket in the years to come, that's one of them. The right to repair, the supporting in the Repair Act to make sure that we have access to the information and the data to work on vehicles of the future is another. But, first off, I got to applaud the industry associations, the Auto Care Association, MEMA, et cetera, for their work in supporting those initiatives, to bringing awareness to the fact that we have a technician shortage, right? So appreciate the industry's work there, and of course we'll support the industry to continue to highlight those issues, and quite frankly, those opportunities, right? It's a bright future for the aftermarket and for the service industry, and we want to make sure that it's attractive to the younger generations, right? To come in and know that they can build a solid career in this industry. And for me personally, I got to admit, I'm not a DIYer, Jeff, so I rely on those technicians in those shops for mine and my family's vehicles. So, personally, it's important for me to make sure that moving forward that we've got that level of support. So a couple of things we can do as a manufacturer, right? One of which is very basic, right? The parts and the training that we provide. Let's just make sure it's available, right? Let's make sure our parts, we've got the right content, the right cataloging, the information to make it easier for the technician to do the work, right? To service the vehicle, and then of course provide them the backup, like I said, the training, the technical support, whatever they need, right? To ensure that they can do the job correctly. So I think that's kind of a basic expectation of any manufacturer, and of course we take that very seriously. However, we're also just not kind of resting there. I think one of the exciting things I learned when I came here, and we're continuing to do, is there's an initiative that it's been actually, quite frankly, years in the making, where we get out to technical colleges, right, and we provide training on quote unquote new mobility type products. You know, and our goal is to help the technicians of the future, you know, get ready for the technology of the future, right? And when I talk about that, I'm talking about, you know, ADAS type systems, right? Advanced driver assistance systems, plug-in hybrid and traditional transmission trainings. We've got diagnostics repair, suspension training, high voltage training, even to the newer technologies of brake-by-wire, et cetera, all under our ZF ProTech training line, right? So very important for us to make sure that we're getting out to those universities and really getting in front of those technicians so they understand, one, it's not just putting parts on the car anymore, right? It's really about connecting the whole system and really embracing the technology of these vehicles. So we've been in Illinois, Texas, North Carolina at various different community and technical colleges. Our goal is to continue to get in front of more students, right, and broaden our training horizons, so that you know, that we let them know at an early age, you know, what are some of the advantages of partnering with, you know, manufacturers that can provide them that level of information and support.
All right, Chris, we talk about being a full ecosystem partner. How does that impact the way that you engage, that ZF engages with fleets and workshops?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, it starts with the parts and the catalogs, right? Making sure that we've got the right level of coverage for them, so that no matter the vehicle, that we've got them covered, right? So we continue to expand our portfolio. We've launched, you know, almost 300 parts this year, covering about 80 million VIO, right? So it kind of starts first and foremost there. And that includes, you know, expanding on our continuous damping control shock line, or active damping shock line, right? So bringing new technologies, those technologies that are emerging right at the OEM levels to market. So it's not just about bringing parts to market, but it's making sure that we've got the right parts with the right tech for the modern vehicles, right, that are becoming more prevalent in the aftermarket. And then it doesn't stop there with parts, Jeff, right? You know, to be the full ecosystems provider, you know, you got to make sure that you provide the right level of support behind the scenes. So under our ZF ProTech umbrella, it's our digital platform for both training. It's digital and in-person platform for training and technical support for the workshops. You know, we offer very popular courses, you know, including, you know, electrification of the chassis, et cetera, plenty of new emerging technologies that we cover. And then we're also working to strengthen our ecosystem through trusted partnerships. Our Workshop Connect ProTech Start program brings support to shops through in-person training, as well as an online training platform. So, and then of course, we always offer the opportunity to talk directly with a ZF expert. Our technical support lines for both passenger car and commercial vehicle are really top-notch and provide our customers the needed support. So when we talk about building that ecosystem, it's about parts, it's about the service, and making sure, you know, our technicians and shops have the right tools to do the job right.
Training and education is so crucial to the aftermarket's future. Chris Battershell, proud Michigan State University graduate, and the VP of the North American region at ZF Aftermarket. Thanks for joining us.
Jeff, appreciate you having us on. Thank you very much.
That's all for this episode of Counterculture. As always, you can go to the YouTube Counterman page, also known as the Counterman YouTube page, to watch more Counterculture videos and other Counterman videos. Thanks for joining us, and we hope to see you next time.